But anyway, I want to share with you a story about Emuna, because I feel like this is where we need to go. So I want to share with you a beautiful story that so to speak really, really epitomizes what it means to live a life of Emuna. It's the story, of course, the Baal Shem Tov, a story that I heard many times and then I forgot it, and then it recently came back to my ears this week, and I really want to retell it. So the story goes, and I'm really going to shorten the whole version, okay? The Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh wanted to teach his Talmid, his disciple. He takes his Talmid to travel, okay? And he's traveling along in I guess, by foot, and they make their way into no man's land. They make their way into like a desert. No water, no civilization, nothing happening there. Just the Baal Shem Tov and the Talmid. I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't mind traveling in the desert with the Baal Shem Tov. I don't care if I didn't have water there. But okay, they're traveling together. And the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh wanted to teach his Talmid through a nisayon what it means to live with Emuna. Now, there's a question. Is a person allowed to summon and invite in his life a nisayon? And it actually is brought down in Masechet Yoma that for the purpose of chinuch, of educating your children, you are allowed to somewhat, even rabbanim, like rabbis and rebbitzins and morim and morot and teachers, are allowed to, so to speak, summon a nisayon to their disciples because of the fact that it will help them bring out their potential into actuality. So I'm not going to get into that. We won't talk about that. But the bottom line is the Baal Shem Tov wanted to teach his Talmid, his student, what it means to live the Emuna Shlema, with complete Emuna. So there's traveling through, and of course, his Talmid looks at the Baal Shem Tov at one point and turns to the Baal Shem Tov and says, Rabbeinu, I'm really thirsty. And the Baal Shem Tov goes against his nature. He's we know he was always very compassionate. He's the one that teaches us the whole idea of loving the other, right? Loving Israel is just as important as loving Torah and loving Hashem, all in one packet. And he decides to ignore his Talmid's pleas, and they continue to walk together through the desert. At one point, the Talmid turns around again. Rabbeinu, I need to drink or I'm going to die. A lot more urgency in his voice. And the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh turns to the Talmid and says the following. He says, tell me, do you believe that when Hashem created the universe, he foresaw this moment where right now you and I are walking in the desert, and that you're thirsty, and you might even die of thirst? Do you believe that Hashem recognizes this moment and has planned this moment and knows how to bring about the salvation of this moment? And the Talmid, who's very, very exalted Talmid, doesn't speak nonsense, took a few moments before he answers and turns to the Baal Shem Tov and says to him, yes, I do believe that. And the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, you would think that's the end of the nisayon, right? Nope. The Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh turns around to his Talmid and he says, so why don't you just wait? Okay, well, didn't he just say that he has Emuna Shlema? No, just wait. They continue to walk a few steps more, and out of nowhere, a Gentile appears in the middle of the desert with 2 buckets of water. The Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh calls him over, and he says, can we buy some water from you? They go ahead, gives them a few coins, pours them the water, they both drink, and the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh turns to the Gentile, and he asks him the question, he says, tell me, what are you doing in the middle of the desert with 2 buckets of water? What are you doing? And the Gentile turns around to the Baal Shem Tov and he says, I don't know. My master went crazy. He decided to send me all the way to the other side of the desert to a wellspring because he only wanted to drink from the wellspring at the far, far end of the desert. Even though there were wellsprings way, way before, he sent me all the way to the other side of the desert so I can get him some water and bring it back to him. He went nuts. He went crazy. I don't know. And the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh turns around to his student and he says to him, do you see that? Do you see what Hashem did? Hashem from the beginning of creation knew that his son would almost die of thirst in the middle of the desert, way thousands of years into creation. And he made some Gentile master go crazy in his mind and summon his servant to go all the way somewhere in no man's land so that he can pass by and come right in time when you couldn't take it anymore and bring you the water that you needed to survive. He said, and these are the 3 points that we learn basically from this story. Number 1, Hashem knows. In the past, he knew and he knows what each and every one of us are going through right now. And in fact, he didn't just know it. He doesn't just know it. He didn't just know it then. He doesn't just know it now. But he knows exactly what you and I need today in our lives to get us through our troubles right now. It was perfectly planned from the days of Bereshit, from the beginning of time. Number 2, not only did he plan it down to the T with hashgacha pratit and divine providence and knows exactly what it is that we're going through, the pain. Hashem knows exactly the pain and the anguish that every single one of us are going through right now. He could feel it, so to speak, quote unquote, in his kishkas. He's one with us. He's with us. He's enjoined in that pain. He didn't just throw us into exile. He sent himself into exile to be with us because we wouldn't be able to make it through one breathing moment if we didn't have the help and support of our Hashem. And why did he do this? Only he knows. We can have theories and we can theorize why we needed all this exile. Why couldn't Adam just listen, for goodness sakes, for 6 more hours to not eat from that tree? There's much more greater reasons to it than we can even fathom and comprehend. So not only, number 1, did he plan this from the beginning of time, but number 2, he feels our pain. And number 3, he prepared the Yeshua. And those are the 3 steps of Emuna. Hashem planned it, he feels my pain, and the Yeshua is already here. It's already planned. He already sent the Gentile with the water. It's already there. He made someone go crazy just to change around all the events of the universe so that my Yeshua can come when it's ready. But in the meantime, there's something that he's waiting for me. He's waiting for that crooked nun to turn into a end of nun, for me to recognize that I have to put an end to something, that I need to become something, that I need to stand tall with my Emuna, that I need to recognize that there's a miracle here. I need to break my nature, because when I break my nature, then I go beyond myself. And when I go beyond myself, I'm no longer a human. I'm more godly than I was before. That's the whole purpose of a Nisayon, is to break forth from the human limitations so that I can experience the godliness that was hiding within. And the only way I could do that is to recognize that I can go beyond myself. And when I go beyond myself, I could touch a little bit more of that godliness, of that infinity, that infinite energy that runs around and within all of us.